2003 had some of the best cartoons, like Spider-Man the New Animated Series, Teen Titans, and so many more. But when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles returned as a cartoon that genuinely felt closer to the original comics, well, that was something fans like us did not expect. For 4 seasons, the show seemed to do almost everything right. It was darker, more serialized, and more ambitious than any previous television version of the Turtles. But then, all of a sudden, it hit a wall. One produced season was delayed. The show suddenly jumped 100 years into the future. The character designs changed, and to make matters worse for longtime fans, the tone also became noticeably lighter. By the time the regular series officially ended in 2009, it wrapped up with a wedding. That felt unusual to viewers who expected a massive mythology finale, especially after the show had introduced alien wars, mystical shredders, government conspiracies, and ancient ninja powers. So in today's video, we're diving into how the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon actually ended, and what happened to its missing 5th season, and why so many fans remain divided over its final fate.
The 2003 reboot that finally respected the comics. In May 2002, 4Kids Entertainment announced that it would produce a new animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles television series for the Fox Box Saturday morning programming block. The series eventually premiered on February 8th, 2003. Compared with the highly comedic 1987 cartoon, the 2003 series adopted a more serious action-adventure tone inspired heavily by the original Mirage Studios comics. It still had jokes and child-friendly entertainment, but it treated the Turtles as members of a family caught in dangerous ongoing conflicts. The show was developed by Lloyd Goldfine, who remained one of its central creative figures throughout the entire run. TMNT co-producer Peter Laird also participated heavily in its development, reviewing scripts, designs, characters, story ideas, and continuity decisions. That collaboration became one of the main reasons the early seasons felt so closely tied to the Mirage interpretation of the franchise. Laird had watched the 1987 cartoon move far away from the tone of the original comics. The 2003 production gave him the opportunity to help shape a version that treated the Turtles primarily as action-adventure characters who also happened to be family. The first 4 seasons are often regarded as the core of the series because they adapted or reworked numerous ideas from the Mirage comics. The Foot Clan was once again treated as a dangerous criminal and ninja organization. Shredder was no longer merely a loud villain surrounded by incompetent henchmen. He was portrayed as a calculating, intimidating enemy whose influence stretched across New York and beyond. The series eventually revealed that this version of Oroku Sakai was actually Shirel, an Utram criminal who had used the identity of the Shredder for centuries. That twist radically changed the mythology surrounding the character while still allowing the show to preserve the visual identity and threat of the classic Shredder. Baxter Stockman was also handled in a much darker way than he had been in the 1987 cartoon. Every time Stockman failed Shirel, he suffered another punishment. Over time, he lost an eye, limbs, and eventually most of his original body. The progression was disturbing, but it also became one of the show's darkest recurring jokes. The story expanded far beyond New York as well. The Turtles became involved in the conflict between the Triceraton Republic and the Galactic Federation. Discovered by the Utrams, encountered Ancient Bishop and the Earth Protection Force, and became trapped in increasingly complicated struggles involving science, politics, aliens, magic, and ancient history. Peter Laird later explained why he preferred this approach. He said the 2003 series treated TMNT as an adventure story with some humor, rather than as a comedy show that occasionally included action. That difference defined the early years of the series. Four seasons of peak TMNT, and the season that got buried. The first 4 seasons gradually built a large connected mythology. The stories moved from relatively grounded conflicts involving the Foot Clan and Purple Dragons to interplanetary wars, Utram history, government conspiracies, mutated monsters, mystical warriors, and multiple versions of the Shredder. Despite that growth, the series maintained a strong sense of continuity. Characters and consequences carried over from one storyline into another. Events from earlier episodes regularly returned to affect the Turtles later. Season 4, which began in 2005, continued dealing with the consequences of the Triceraton invasion and Shirel's defeat. Karai attempted to take control of the Foot Clan. Agent Bishop expanded the activities of the Earth Protection Force, and the Foot Mystics began preparing for the return of another, much older Shredder. The season ended with the episode titled Ninja Tribunal, in which the Turtles and several other warriors were abducted by mysterious ninja masters. That finale was designed to lead directly into the next produced season. The continuation became known as the Ninja Tribunal or the Lost Episodes. In production order, it was season 5. It followed the Turtles as they trained under the Ninja Tribunal to prevent the resurrection of the Tengu Shredder, the demonic original Oroku Sakai from ancient Japan. The season introduced the Tribunal's acolytes, mystical weapons, chi-based abilities, dragon avatars, and a supernatural conflict unlike anything the show had attempted before. It also provided a major conclusion to the mystical storyline that had been developing through the Foot Mystics. However, this season didn't receive its intended television broadcast immediately after Season 4. The scheduling was changed, and Fast Forward, which had been produced as Season 6, became the next season shown on commercial television. Mirage and the production partners still completed most of Ninja Tribunal with plans for a direct-to-DVD release. 4Kids later signed a deal with Comcast, and selected episodes began appearing through Comcast On Demand in August 2006. However, only 5 episodes were released that way before rollout stopped. The season was eventually broadcast on 4Kids TV beginning in February 2008, where it was marked as the Lost Episodes. There were 12 completed episodes. A proposed 13th episode titled Nightmares Recycled was never finished. Its story would have revealed that Hun and the Garbage Man had been born as conjoined twins before being separated by an illegal surgeon, with the unwanted child being discarded as garbage. A script was written and some animation work reportedly began, but the episode was abandoned because the subject matter was considered too disturbing and controversial for a children's program. The delayed release changed the way viewers experienced the entire series. Instead of watching Season 4 lead naturally into Ninja Tribunal, American television audiences were suddenly thrown 100 years into the future. Fast Forward, the soft reboot that split the audience. TMNT Fast Forward follows the Turtles and Splinter after they're unexpectedly transported to the year 2105. There, they meet Cody Jones, the great-grandson of April O'Neil and Casey Jones. Cody is a teenage inventor and the heir to O'Neil Tech, but his powerful company has become the target of his corrupt uncle, Darius Dunn. The futuristic setting introduced a new group of enemies, including Okanabo, Viral, Triple Threat, Jammerhead, and the Street Phantoms. It also gave the Turtles new weapons, technology, vehicles, allies, and redesigned appearances. The concept itself is not completely unreasonable. TMNT had always mixed ninjas with science fiction, and the 2003 show had already sent the characters into space, alternate realities, and ancient civilizations. The problem was the timing. Viewers had just watched Season 4 end with the Turtles being abducted by the mysterious Ninja Tribunal. Instead of immediately receiving the continuation of that cliffhanger, they were suddenly placed into a brighter future with new designs and a noticeably lighter tone. Fast Forward contained 26 episodes and was chronologically set after the events of Ninja Tribunal, but because it aired first, the television order made the continuity feel broken. The redesigns also pushed the show away from the visual identity that fans had followed since 2003. The animation became cleaner and brighter, while the dialogue, comedy, and episode structures often appeared aimed at a younger audience. That doesn't make Fast Forward automatically bad. The season developed its own mythology, gave Donatello an advanced technological playground, explored Cody's complicated family legacy, and introduced villains who were generally memorable. Some viewers discovered the 2003 continuity through Fast Forward and remained fond of it. But for many fans who had followed the show from the beginning, it felt less like a natural continuation and more like a soft reboot inserted into the middle of an unfinished story.
Yeah, just us against what?
Ninja Tribunal finally aired, but too late to preserve the momentum. When Ninja Tribunal finally received a wider American television broadcast in 2008, it was promoted as the Lost Episodes. By then, fans had already watched Fast Forward, even though Ninja Tribunal came first chronologically. The season directly continued the cliffhanger from Season 4. The Turtles trained under the Ninja Tribunal alongside 4 human acolytes who prepared for the return of the Tengu Shredder. Their training involved mystical weapons, spiritual energy, inner animal avatars, and increasingly powerful supernatural enemies. The storyline ultimately brought the Turtles, Splinter, the Tribunal, Karai, Agent Bishop, the Justice Force, and several former allies together against the resurrected demon. It was one of the largest conflicts in the series. The final confrontation also gave the Tengu Shredder storyline a complete resolution. The Turtles used their mystical abilities while Hamato Yoshi's spirit helped bring an end to the ancient enemy. Had the season aired immediately after Season 4, it could have felt like the culmination of the entire original phase of the show. Instead, many viewers encountered it only after they had already watched the characters live in the future with new designs and a different tone. That unusual broadcast order weakened the impact of the season and made the larger chronology unnecessarily confusing.
Keep him busy, I'm almost done here!
Back to the sewer. A return home that still didn't feel the same. After Fast Forward, the series returned the Turtles to present-day New York for its 7th and final regular season, titled Back to the Sewer. On paper, that sounded exactly like what dissatisfied viewers had requested. The Turtles were leaving the future behind. They were returning to their sewer lair, their city, their friends, and the continuity established in 2003. Peter Laird even addressed online speculation that the Turtles had arrived in an alternate universe. He clarified that they had returned to the same universe that had been their home since the beginning of the 2003 series. But getting the Turtles back to New York didn't automatically restore their original style. Before Back to the Sewer was selected, several alternative concepts were discussed. One proposal was called Superworld, which would have placed the Turtles in a superhero-heavy setting. Another concept, commonly associated with the title TMNT Overload, involved different ideas surrounding alternate dimensions, superpowered turtles, and younger turtle counterparts. Peter Laird discussed concerns with some of these proposals on his blog, especially the continuity problems created by having adult turtles meet younger versions of themselves. The creative teams, Mirage Studios, 4Kids, and Playmates eventually agreed on the direction that became Back to the Sewer. The final concept brought the Turtles home, but carried over the character Viral from Fast Forward. During the journey back through time, Viral became combined with digital information connected to Shirel. That created Cyber Shredder, a new virtual incarnation of the Utrom Shredder. At the same time, Master Splinter was scattered into digital fragments across cyberspace. Much of the season followed Donatello and the other Turtles as they searched for Splinter's missing data while fighting Cyber Shredder. The characters were redesigned again. The new appearances were more angular and incorporated elements associated with the 2007 TMNT film. The theme song, animation style, technology, and cyberspace setting all gave the season another noticeably different identity. Peter Laird later admitted that he was never particularly enthusiastic about the Cyberworld concept, although he felt that it worked reasonably well. He also acknowledged that the storyline had created several logic problems during development. That helps explain why the season sometimes struggled to feel like a true return to the original show. The Turtles were physically back in New York, but the tone, designs, and central conflict remained far removed from the first 4 seasons. Wedding Bells and Bytes, the actual final episode. The regular 2003 TMNT series ended on February 28, 2009, with the 13th episode of Back to the Sewer titled Wedding Bells and Bytes. The episode brought together the season's 2 biggest remaining storylines. First, the Turtles recovered the final missing portion of Master Splinter's digital data. Donatello successfully restored Splinter to his physical form, finally reuniting the family. At the same time, April O'Neil and Casey Jones prepared to get married. Their relationship had developed throughout the entire series. They had argued, fought together, protected one another, and gradually become one of the show's central couples. Naturally, the ceremony did not proceed without trouble. Cyber Shredder returned for one final attack. He attempted to destroy the Turtles and their allies, but Donatello used a decompiler program to erase him. With Splinter restored and Cyber Shredder defeated, April and Casey completed their wedding ceremony. The guest list included many returning characters from across the series, giving the episode the atmosphere of a reunion. Friends, allies, superheroes, mutants, and former supporting characters gathered to celebrate the couple. The final scene focused on family rather than another massive war. That was a modest ending for a show that had previously dealt with alien invasions, mystical demons, time travel, and apocalyptic threats. But it was also fitting in one important way. At its heart, the 2003 series had always been about family. The Turtles recovered their father. April and Casey formally began their life together. The extended family assembled in one place, and the series ended with celebration rather than loss. Still, the episode mainly concluded the Back to the Sewer storyline. Many of the larger conflicts from earlier seasons had already reached their endings elsewhere. That's why some viewers consider Wedding Bells and Bytes the official ending without necessarily considering it the strongest possible conclusion to the entire series.
Yeah, energy that allowed me to reconstitute myself, to become more.
Why do fans dislike the final phase? Hate may be too strong a word because not everyone dislikes the later seasons. But the final phase remains controversial, and the reasons are easy to understand. The first 4 seasons emphasized serialization, continuity, consequences, and returning conflicts involving the Foot Clan, Shirel, the Utroms, the Triceratons, Agent Bishop, Karai, and the Foot Mystics. Season 4 then ended on a direct cliffhanger leading into Ninja Tribunal. Instead of airing that continuation, the broadcast schedule jumped into Fast Forward. That changed almost everything at once. The setting moved to 2105, the visual designs changed, the tone became lighter, most of the established supporting cast disappeared, new villains and technology replaced the mythology viewers had been following. When Ninja Tribunal eventually aired, the intended momentum was gone. Then Back to the Sewer returned the Turtles to New York, but redesigned them again and centered the final season on cyberspace, and another version of the Shredder. Taken individually, these ideas aren't necessarily bad. Fast Forward has creative science fiction concepts and an enjoyable supporting cast. Ninja Tribunal delivers a large mystical conclusion. Back to the Sewer restores Splinter, resolves Cyber Shredder, and ends with April and Casey's wedding. The problem is the lack of a smooth progression between them. The last phase feels like 3 competing attempts to decide what the series should become. One season tried to finish the original mythology. One tried to reinvent the program in the future. One tried to bring it home while keeping elements from the futuristic reinvention. That's why fans often choose different stopping points. Some viewers stop after season 4 because it represents the last complete season with the original visual identity. Others consider Ninja Tribunal the true ending of the core series because it resolves the Tengu Shredder storyline and concludes the original design era. Others accept Wedding Bells and Bytes because it's the official final episode and offers a warm family conclusion. And some consider Turtles Forever the real ending because it celebrates the entire franchise and gives Shirel one last confrontation with multiple generations of Turtles. There's no single emotional ending shared by the entire fandom. The official ending is clear. The preferred ending depends on what each viewer valued the most about the show. The cast and crew who carried it to the end. Despite the changes in tone and design, many major cast members remained with the series throughout all 7 seasons. Michael Sinter-Nicholas voiced Leonardo. Sam Riegel voiced Donatello. Wayne Grayson voiced Michelangelo. Greg Abbey voiced Raphael for the majority of the regular series. Darren Dunstan voiced Master Splinter. Veronica Taylor voiced April O'Neil. Mark Thompson voiced Casey Jones and several additional characters. Scotty Ray provided the intimidating voice of Jor-El and the Shredder. That consistency helped preserve the characters even when the worlds around them had changed. The Turtles still sounded like the same brothers audiences had followed since 2003. Their chemistry, arguments, jokes, and affection provided a continuous thread through New York, outer space, alternate realities, ancient Japan, 2105, and cyberspace. Lloyd Goldfine also remained the major creative figure throughout the series. He served as developer, producer, and story editor, and later helped write and direct Turtles Forever. Peter Laird continued reviewing and commenting on story proposals, character designs, continuity questions, and broader creative decisions during the 4Kids era. His archived blog posts offer an unusually detailed look at the compromises, rejected concepts, and production discussions behind the final seasons. The later direction may remain controversial, but the cast and crew did not simply abandon the show. They continued trying to reshape it, preserve the continuity, and keep it alive in a rapidly changing television and toy market.
Look out! What do we do?
Turtles Forever. The epilogue the series needed. The regular series ended with Wedding Bells and Bytes, but the 2003 continuity received one more major story later that year. Turtles Forever premiered on November 21, 2009. The television film brought the 2003 Turtles together with the more comedic Turtles from the 1987 cartoons. It eventually expanded into a full multiverse celebration involving numerous TMNT realities and the original black and white Mirage Turtles. The conflict began when the 1987 Turtles were transported into the 2003 universe. Their lighter behavior immediately clashed with the more serious personalities of the 2003 team. But both groups were eventually forced to work together when their versions of Shredder became involved. Jor-El emerged as the true central threat. After learning about the existence of multiple turtle realities, he decided that destroying the original Mirage Turtles would erase every other version from existence. That transformed the film from a simple crossover into a celebration of the franchise's entire history. The final confrontation took place in the Mirage universe, where the exaggerated animated teams encountered the original grim black and white Turtles. Turtles Forever gave the 2003 series something its regular finale couldn't provide. One final epic conflict with Shirel and a direct acknowledgement of the franchise's legacy. Peter Laird later said that the film capped off the 4Kids years quite nicely. That makes it easy to view Wedding Bells and Bytes as the conclusion of the regular television series and Turtles Forever as its larger epilogue. The legacy and where fans really end the story. The 2003 TMNT series occupies an important place in the franchise's history. It proved that a children's television adaptation could preserve the humor of the Turtles while treating their world, relationships, and conflicts seriously. The show developed long-running arcs, allowed characters to experience lasting consequences, and introduced young viewers to the ideas drawn from the Mirage comics. It gave us Shirel, one of the most formidable versions of the Shredder. It expanded Agent Bishop into a major recurring threat. It transformed Baxter Stockman's repeated failures into a disturbing physical tragedy. It explored the Utroms, Triceratons, Battle Nexus, alternate realities, ancient demons, government conspiracies, and the emotional bond holding the Hamato family together. Its final phase may not have maintained the same consistency, but the debates surrounding those seasons prove how deeply audiences cared about the series. So, how did the 2003 TMNT cartoon actually end? It officially ended with Wedding Bells and Bytes. Splinter was restored, Cyber Shredder was erased. Casey and April were married, and the extended family came together to celebrate. But emotionally, different fans choose different endings. For some, the core story ends with Season 4 and the original designs. For others, Ninja Tribunal provides the true mythological conclusion. For others who accept the entire broadcast run, the wedding is the definitive ending. And for many longtime fans, Turtles Forever is the final farewell because it brings the franchises past and present together, and gives the 2003 Turtles one last battle against Jor-El. The fact that fans still argue about this proves how much the series mattered. People don't debate the perfect ending of a show they've forgotten. They debate the ending because the characters, mythology, voice performances, and early seasons created something that remained important long after the final credits rolled. Where do you put a stop to the 2003 TMNT story? Is it Season 4, Ninja Tribunal, Wedding Bells and Bytes, or Turtles Forever? Share your answer in the comments below. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe, and as always, stay marvelous.